episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today we are talking about the mental fitness, resilience, and what it truly means to build a life and career that align with who you are. And our guest today, dear listeners, is a brilliant scientist turned career strategist, someone who blends data, discernment, and empathy to guide high achieving professionals towards clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. So, dear listeners, she helps people pause, reflect, and realign, asking the deeper questions that lead to the authentic and intentional careers. So she is the founder of Next Success and the host of the podcast Your Next Success, where she shares insights and the strategies to help listeners navigate career transitions and the mental resilience. So, wait, please welcome Caroline Sangal. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Avik. It's so exciting to be here. I am absolutely thrilled.
Amazing. So, so Caroline, like you had what many would call it a kind of successful career by external standards like PhD, top R&D roles, executive recruiting, but you found yourself asking is it kind of reality it is? So what did that moment shape your approach to mental fitness and the career alignment?
Well, my mental fitness understanding came later when I was trying to dive deep into this. But yeah, I had a few different chapters of my career. I'm a big proponent of something can be right for a chapter, but it doesn't have to be your whole book. And I myself in the different chapters of my career, I kept realizing, I was externally successful by somebody else's measure, and at one time I thought those measures were mine. But internally, I was struggling. I was not as fulfilled in my R&D side, I could do it really well, and I was in the chemical industry for over a decade, after getting my PhD. Commercialized products that had over $1 million of sales and led teams through innovation development projects, and, like, one could say that was it, and I'd reached success, right? I was married, we had a house, we were getting cars, right? Um, but I still felt like I was dimming myself. I felt like I was made for something more, that there was something different that I needed to be doing, and it wasn't it. And then ultimately, like at the end of my life, if I had to account for what did I do, to say I made adhesives to bond metal car parts together, it just didn't seem like it was impacting the world and making it a greater place. But in one hand, I say, I used to study cracks in materials, how they would initiate and how they would grow. And I wasn't studying them because I wanted to break things. I wanted to ultimately make them stronger. And now, decades later, I'm doing the same approach
Hmm.
with humans. I understand the things that can crack and can affect our performance, relationships, or well being. I understand how those propagate and how those negatively affect our performance, relationships, and well being. And I ultimately can help people build the ability to have themselves be stronger and to accomplish this. I did also, yes, have a career chapter where I was an executive recruiter for the chemical industry globally, worked with many, many companies and many, many high achievers, but I kept seeing it again and again. Externally successful, internally unfulfilled. And even myself, while chasing that success and realizing top performance year after year with something called pace setter,
Mhm.
but my body was starting to show signs that I actually my well-being was not good, and my relationships were taking a toll because I was so focused on work and making sure that that important thing was done, that I not consciously, but I was neglecting these other things, and I started to have health challenges and ultimately was not being the wife, not being the mom that I wanted to be. A lot of my work was nights and weekends, and I was frequently like, "Shh, mommy's on a call. Quiet, quiet." Like, and that's just not ultimately who I am. So it was after my husband, around our 20th wedding anniversary, sat me down and told me he was terrified that we wouldn't have another anniversary because I was literally killing myself. Like I wasn't, attempting to,
Mhm.
but I had reached a point where I had class 2 obesity because although my children were getting organic everything, I was unwrapping the quickest thing that I could eat to before another meeting. I had high blood pressure with not one, not two, but three different medicines to try to control it. I had realized I had anxiety and depression, and so then there was more medicines. And I developed an irregular heart rate to where my heart would go to 210 just when I was sitting. And I would like couldn't even breathe. And all of these things were happening. And, meanwhile, the joyful, carefree person that my husband knew in different chapters, I was just this bucket of stress. But externally, my resume looked glorious, right? My relationship with clients and performance was amazing. So after he very strongly convinced me that to, go ahead, have the freedom to try something else. I dug into this and I treated it like another dissertation. And I was determined to figure out what was the real issue, what are the core factors, and how could I ultimately help heal myself and help many, many other peoples to have that.
That's a great way of progressing, I'd say. And at the same time, like I think that's such a relatable moment because many of us chase what looks very, very successful without um, checking in with our inner compass. Like it's powerful to see someone turn that kind of question into a method for the clarity and resilience. So, uh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So also you help the professionals to redefine success on their own terms, and from there I would love to ask, like, what do you think, I mean, the mental fitness, how the mental fitness and the resilience play into that process, like why are they often overlooked in high achieving careers?
Yeah. And so I think we need to define a little bit about what they are, right? Because
Mm.
on one hand, I was intellectually very, very bright and achieved, and yourself as well, right? Intellectually amazing. But I didn't notice and I didn't even know because I just thought I'm so smart. I'm living with this head attached to my body, but not necessarily integrated into all my feelings and emotions. So if somebody wants to understand like what is mental fitness, let's just say, have you ever had a situation where you knew exactly what the right thing to do was, but in the moment of a stressor, you didn't do it. You just quickly reacted instead of responded. For example, there was a time when I was recruiting and I had a client call in the evening because that was the time that was most convenient for people after work was to talk to someone. And so I picked up my child from school and then I'm rushing and I didn't have time to cook dinner that night. And so I had pre-planned that I'm going to order food from this local restaurant and have the pickup time be exactly so that I could pick up my child. We drop by there, I send him in, he picks it up, we get in the car, we go home. I'll have time to actually eat a quick dinner before my client call.
Mm.
So this is my plan. I'm controlling it all in my mind. I pick him up, I go to the restaurant, he walks in, I park in the fire lane. I don't even park in an actual parking spot. And I send him in. And 5 minutes go by and I'm checking up on emails and progressing things forward because it's important. And 10 minutes go by and he's still not coming out, and I'm like, "What the heck?" Like, I'm late, we've got things to do, like, I don't have time for this nonsense. So I quickly pull into, like, a handicap spot, not really, like, in my clearer, calmer self, no way would I take a handicap spot, but here I did it, and I rush out of the car, and I run into the store, and I swing open the door, and I look quickly, and I assess the situation, and it looks like 10 teenage workers behind the counter, and everybody's just kinda casual and moving slowly, and I'm like, "What the heck?" And so I start being like, "You guys are supposed to have our order at 5:07, it is 5:24. What is happening here?" And my teenage son is mortified, not my proudest moment, and I proceed to just unravel and lose it on these poor people at this restaurant. So I knew exactly what the right things to do were. But then here, even me, externally successful, all of these accomplishments,
Mm.
clearly I'm having a challenge and an issue that actually wasn't related to the people in front of me, but in my mind had just gone round and round and round, and so many things weren't happening the way that I wanted that it
Mm.
became, in my mind, a fight flight response to where I'm
Mm.
fighting these poor people who are ultimately trying to prepare my dinner. So the ability for you to handle stressors in life is your mental fitness. So, in your body, we're all very well attuned to like, okay, if you want to be physically fit, you can work on your cardiovascular health and you can do exercises like walking or running. And if you want to build muscles, you can do something with sets and reps of exercises of lifting weights, right? So, in our mind, we can know the right things to do, but still over time, we might not be doing that because as children, what happens is, even if you're in a very happy household, the reality part of growing up is we are making observations and children are making conclusions, but like every child is born with this amazing curiosity. They feel love, they feel worthy, you feel whole, and you see it in the giggle of a toddler or in the just carefree play of a very young child. But over time, as they start experiencing life, they start getting recognition for performance, relationships, well-being, like these kind of things. And so you could learn like, oh, when I do this thing, my parents are happy. I want them to be happy. When I do this thing, and you start making these conclusions of I must conform to be this way in order to be accepted and loved. And then as we grow, it's like we have installed an operating system in our mind that's that of a 3 to 5 year old. And unless we know that we can upgrade that operating system, we can upgrade our neural pathways. If you're finding yourself that you are actually sabotaging your ultimate success, then you can build new pathways. And then that would be mental resilience. So I help people with understanding how are they sabotaging their success? How can they combat that? And how can they build new neural pathways so that in time, if your order at the restaurant is late, you're able to just kind of approach from a more calm, like, I wonder what's going on here. How can I make this work? Instead of just yelling.
Exactly. I mean, it's so deeply resonance because often like we think resilience is just a kind of uh, grinding through, but what you frame it is like it's a kind of deliberate practice and something that we can build scientifically and intentionally. So definitely, it's a true one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know,
Mm.
like, I thought I was doing all I needed to do for my mental health, which I thought was related to mental fitness, and it
Yeah.
is, right? But I had at the time I screamed at that girl, and this was just one example, right? You can find any example, many, many other examples. I don't claim to be, perfect in any regard, but I had already been through nearly a decade of therapy. I had medication for anxiety, medication for depression, right? I had done mindfulness. I had done yoga. I had done all these things. And yet I didn't really know what to do, right? So,
Mm.
I mean, I knew what to do, but I had a hard time doing it because I was continuing to run that operating system that I had installed and I didn't even know that needed upgraded. So for me, like a mind that was constantly just all over the place, if I went to yoga or I tried to do meditation, it's like, okay, be calm, breathe. And my mind is like, and now what am I supposed to do? And now what am I doing this right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing this right. These people look like they're breathing deeper. And I'm not. Let me try to breathe deeper. But like I did not know how to calm this chatter in my mind. And so I could tell you a little bit more about and then what happened and how I discovered
Yeah.
what I now have as a foundational program as part of my method that I help people with, if you'd like.
That's really amazing. And um, so, like your signature next success method, it actually blends about the natural abilities, communication style, mental fitness, um, integrated life career vision. So, if you can give us a kind of real life example, like of how someone has applied this method and to navigate a kind of career transition successfully.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So first, when I created my next success method, I thought it was an issue of people didn't know, who they were, what they did best, right? So like the natural abilities assessment definitely relates to which activities are you doing in your life and your job that are energizing for you or are they draining for you? And you can actually have a an objective performance-based measurement to sort that out for yourself. And you could really get so much greater understanding of who you are as well as what was your starting point that you built skills on top of. So things that you take time, effort, and energy to learn. So first I'm like, okay, aha, this is the missing link.
Mm,
Aha, I got it. Or aha, it's communication and the communication behaviors and the ability of somebody to have their message well received by the other person. Aha, that's the missing link. Okay, I got it. So now I have two parts. And then it's like, oh, actually, unless somebody understands what they want their life to look like first and how their career can fuel it. And for both of those, I go through 8 factors. So, where is somebody in their career development stage? An 18-year-old has a whole lot different outlook and willingness to do things than a 50 or 60-year-old who's already done it and decided who they are, aren't, what they will or won't do. Your natural abilities of the things that you are inherently hardwired to do based on how you were made, your skills, those things you've invested time, effort, and energy to learn, your interest, the things that fascinate you, your personal style. Is someone an introvert or an extrovert or a generalist or a specialist? How do they approach work? And the communication behavior goes into that. Your family you come from, your family you have now, both influence your decisions, your goals, and your values. So I take people through a very thorough process to sort those things out in one period of time to make a vision for their life, vision for their career. And I'm thinking, aha, I have it. This is great. And I bring some people through my program, and they were making great gains. And then there was one who was interviewing. This was a guy who was a chemist at like a pharmaceutical, a company to make precursor chemicals for pharmaceuticals. And so his products became starting materials at other pharmaceutical companies. He wants to progress in his career, and he is now interviewing at a larger pharmaceutical company. Could be a great move. And he contacts me because he wanted me to help him with behavioral based interviewing. So, like, tell me about a time when you had to. And I'm going through these with him, and his answers are great. And I'm like, this, buddy, this isn't the problem. Like, there's got to be something else. Tell me about what happened. And he's like, well, I already failed at 3 other large pharmaceutical companies. This is my last chance. I'm like, well, tell me more. How did you fail? And he's like saying, I get to the interview and this guy's judging me and it's just horrible and they think I'm stupid and blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm thinking, man, I don't think this sounds, something else is at work here. So he has this particular interview and he didn't want to work on these techniques. He didn't want to do his mental fitness, mental resilience because he thinks he knows everything. He was still on that side and I must be wrong. The issue was just behavioral questions. Well, he misses his first flight. He gets a next flight. Ends up with 2 hours of sleep. He goes to the interview. He has 75 slides for a 20-minute presentation. That goes poorly. He then starts sweating through his suit. So now he's like so hyped up, and then he does poorly in the other interviews with the people, and he doesn't get the job. And I'm thinking like something's missing. Something's missing. And so I asked him to tell me more. And again, he's like, these people, they're judging me. They think I'm stupid. It was a complete waste of my time and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh man. So this man just sabotaged his success based on what's happening in his mind. And so I delve in and I try to research and figure it out. And I find a program that I love. It's based on neuroscience and psychology and human behavior. And you can have scientifically validated assessment underpinning to help you know how much percent of the time is your mind working for you or against you. Then you can realize what are the things sabotaging your success. Now you have a targeted thing of like, here's what you need to work on and a how of how you can practice and do some exercises to build up that resilience. And just like over time, if you're lifting weights time and time and time again, and now you have some application in your world, you have to lift something heavy, you're able to handle that stressor. And so by practicing these exercises to build mental fitness, mental resilience, then when a stressor does come in life, you can approach the same situation with a much more positive mindset. So go into so many
Mhm.
so many areas, so many tangents there. I don't know what's the help uh, for your listeners. I could either say here's the flavors that people sabotage themselves, and here's the
Mhm.
positive powers, or we could go into here's how your brain is actually made, and here's what's really happening underneath. So I don't know which way you'd love to go.
But definitely, it really helps to understand, and that is the reason I thought let me ask you about the real life example because it actually helps listeners to understand, and that is exactly what you have also explained. So that's the most important part. Yeah, and yeah, please, you're saying something.
Yeah, even myself, like, as I found this program that I
Mhm.
have as foundational part, an element in my next success method.
Mhm.
First, I admit, I naively thought I'm learning this to help others, right? I'm even in my 40s, I still had some of this ego, like I'm good, but let me help other people. But after I went through this program in a matter of just a couple of months,
Mhm.
miraculously, I already was on 3 blood pressure medicines, but my
Oh.
blood pressure was still, high,
Mhm.
like 140 over 90, 150 over 95, like, with
Uh,
3 medicines, right?
mm,
I did this, program, and in a matter of a couple months,
mm,
by knowing what to do, practicing and doing the exercises time and time again, with no other changes, the top number of my blood pressure went down 20 points. And for once, my
yeah.
mind was can be calm. And
Mhm.
I've kept that. And my blood pressure has not increased. And in fact, I've been able to, you know, not have to have so many medicines. So what I naively thought was something I was going to learn to help others ended up
Mhm.
being one of the most profound things that I've ever done to help myself. And now I can also help others from this clearer space and from this more healthy, calm mind.
Exactly. Wow. And that's a very great important section, like where you are, I mean, where you have experienced the result, and from there you are also, uh, I mean, you're also helping people understand like this is quietly possible and this is quietly achievable. So that is the great part about it. And uh, so, like for the listeners who feel stuck or maybe overwhelmed or kind of burnout, what do you suggest? I mean, maybe the first actionable step they can take today to start building their mental resilience and also aligning their life with their values.
Absolutely. So, if you're noticing and you think you might be burnt out, first thing is congratulations. Pause, recognize that yeah, you've now identified something, right? So awareness is the first step. That you're aware that there's something can be improved. So I say pause, assess, right? So now, okay, so you paused and celebrate that because this is big. This is big. What do you want your next success to look like? We now can unlock it because you know you're wanting to do something more. So then assess. So if you're trying to figure out like, but what is it? I have many assessments, some paid, some free. The ones about mental fitness and mental resilience, I can do those complimentary. It is such an important part of helping people that I want to have as big of an impact as possible. So I would be happy if anyone sends me an email, I'll be happy to send a link to here's a free assessment to understand how much percent of the time is your mind working for you versus against you. And then what are the things that are sabotaging your success? Is it your quest to control or hyperachieve or pleaser or hypervigilant or these sorts of a victim? There's so many of these things. And once we're aware of what the issue is, then we have a better way of kind of tackling that. So I think
Exactly.
and also the other thing I would say is if someone's overwhelmed, just kind of take a running like check on yourself. Like as you reflect upon your day, what were the things that gave you energy and what were the things that took your energy? And just kind of taking that sort of thing because over time you can realize patterns and also just like dreaming, but like if you could have it some different way, if it was indeed a beautiful life, what do you want that to look like? Because when people are overwhelmed, when you're burned out, when you have these things, even though all the markers, like I had all the markers, like in two different career, like related but different careers, I was able to achieve top levels of performance. And then I had the car, we had the cars, we had the house paid off, we have children, we have pets, like we had all the things. But internally, my body was telling a different story. And externally, I was not showing up in the way I wanted to be for my beloved husband and my beautiful children. They were getting the worst of me because I didn't have this all sorted out. So pause, assess, and then you can start to dream and visualize. And for anyone that wants to have structure around that journey, right? Because sometimes you can notice something's wrong, and you don't exactly know how to fix it. So anybody that would want help or support, I am absolutely available to do what I can to help make their life better.
Amazing. So, Carolyn, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience. And um, I'd say that today's conversation reminds us, dear listeners, that success is not just about the titles or the achievements. It's all about the clarity, mental fitness, and the resilience in building a life that aligns with who we truly are. So, for every one of you who are listening, or maybe you will be listening, if you have been feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or kind of questioning the path that you're on, then today's episode is a kind of reminder that it's okay to pause, reflect, and realign. And always start small, trust yourself, and strengthen the mental resilience that will carry you forward. So, Caroline, if someone wants to connect with you, what will the great medium to connect?
Absolutely. So my website is nextsuccesscareers.com. The podcast, Your Next Success, is nextsuccesspodcast.com. From there, you can find a way to reach out to me, or you can find me, Caroline Sangal, on LinkedIn as well. So and also the YouTube, Instagram, Facebook are all at Next Success Method. So nextsuccesscareers.com, nextsuccesspodcast.com. Find me, Caroline Sangal, on LinkedIn, or search all the other socials for at Next Success Method, and I would be happy to do what I can. The many resources, again, are available just for the betterment of the world, and then others, if somebody wanted to formally go through some program or something, that also is somebody's choice. But I want the work and the help to be accessible so that everyone can get a value and benefit, because we are all made on purpose for a purpose only we can do. And the longer that we're dimming or trying to fit into somebody else's mold, the more that we are not only just denying ourselves from true possibility, but also our families, our friends, our communities, and the world. But what would it be like if we could all truly be who we were made to be? The impact would be remarkable. That's the world I want to live in.
Amazing. Great. So, dear listeners, I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And um, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And please remember that what we have learned today. And thank you so much for joining on Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. And keep reflecting, keep strengthening your mind, and keep designing a life that you love. So, thank you so much.